Hi, I'm Lance Sherman. I'm a Morningside graduate student and a teacher at Riverdale High School in Fort Byron, Illinois. I'm here to talk about student self-efficacy when studying geography in a high school setting. Schools are giving students one-to-one technology to meet the 21st century skills. But the problem is that the devices are not being used for their intended purpose. Skills such as critical thinking, digital literacy, and collaboration are not being taught, which are all part of the 21st century skills. Also, it's been shown that conventional education has not equipped students for the modern workplace. So why study this? The district that I work for implemented the use of one-to-one devices last year, and I wanted to see if they would improve the students' self-efficacy. So what is a one-to-one device? It's any type of technology which is assigned to an individual to allow access to the internet and other computing software. It could be a Chromebook, it could be an iPad, it could be the student's cell phone. The use of the one-to-one devices has shown mixed results at best. On the negative side, teachers stated that their primary use of the one-to-one devices were primarily used for students typing homework or for rote memory drills. They also stated that their primary use of technology was to assist with lectures. We all know the idea of death by PowerPoints. To assist students, when it's being used, it's mainly being used for rote memory-based information on the internet, like finding the capital of Oklahoma. But on the positive side, it's been found that students who use the one-to-one devices outperformed those who did not have the technology in 9 out of 15 academic categories. It was also found that learner-centered classrooms work best if the one-to-one devices were present. Larson and Miller feel that teachers need to be able to guide their students to a world that allows them to apply their learned skills to solve authentic problems through collaboration while using technology. For students to be successful with technology, the teachers have to be proficient with technology skills as well. For this to happen, the teachers must be given the opportunity to go to professional development seminars where they can learn these skills. And what we find is that when they do learn these skills, they become more assured of themselves and their abilities, and they begin to use those technologies in their classroom. Self-efficacy is a belief system that influences individuals to make choices in regards to the actions that they will take and the efforts that they will put into those actions. So what Bandura is telling us is that if a student is comfortable or feels good about their skills in technology, they will put more effort into the assignment that you give them. And vice versa, if a student is not comfortable with those technology skills, they're not going to put the effort forth. Larson and Miller believe that students, through the 21st century skills, must develop teamwork skills along with exploration and information confidence. So it becomes the responsibility of the teacher to create an environment that nurtures students to believe that they can attain these goals. The issue arises with the use of one-to-one devices, and the self-efficacy is how comfortable students are in using the technology for the purpose of learning. We all know that they are very proficient with their phones. We know that they are very proficient with their gaming systems. But when it comes time for them to use technology for education, they begin to wane in their perceived abilities. Bandura reasons that by creating skill-based activities that allow student success, they will develop an increased sense of self-efficacy and an increased interest in those skills. The goal of this study was to see what effect the use of one-to-one devices had on student self-efficacy as it pertained to the discipline of geography. So what I did was I set up an A-B design in which 3 data points were used to compare the self-efficacy of the students during 2 periods. Those 3 data points would be surveys. The time periods would be the The first time period would be the students would be denied the use of technology, and in the second time period, they would be given technology to use studying geography. The 3 surveys would be given to the students to gauge their self-efficacy. The first survey would begin as a baseline prior to the first period. At the end of the first period, a second survey would be given, and then there would be the second time period where they had the technology, and at the conclusion of that, they would be given a third survey. The participants for this study consisted of 12 students from the researcher's second semester geography class. 3 of the students were female, 9 were male. The participants included 25 sophomores, 1 junior, and 8 seniors. The class average was 16.66 years old, and the participants' ethnic background was composed of 92% Caucasian and 8% Hispanic, or one Hispanic student. I also had 1 student who had an IEP. The one-to-one device that we used were Chromebooks, and they were brand new Chromebooks straight out of the box. And the textbook that we used was a 2007 World Geography book. And you can see the need for the use of technology due to the age of the books and the irrelevant information that needed to be updated through the technology. The surveys comprised of 13 statements that measured the students' perception of their ability to grow. It used a 5-point Likert scale for measurements. As you can see, these are some of the sample questions. Question number 3, if I practice every day, I could develop just about any skill. And then they rate that question from not very likely to very likely. The survey questions were used to gauge the student's self-efficacy. And using Chromebook's coefficient, the survey was tested for reliability on about 5,000 students, and it came back and it was found to be highly reliable. As far as the validity goes, that information wasn't provided, but I did find that the survey was found in a textbook called The Skills That Matter, and it was a textbook for teachers learning how to teach interpersonal and interpersonal competencies for the classroom. So I think that helped push the idea of the validity of the survey. The purpose of this study was to determine if the use of one-to-one technology when studying geography would increase students' self-efficacy. The results of the paired sample t-test indicated that the use of one-to-one technology in geography did increase students' self-efficacy. These findings supported the hypothesis that the use of one-to-one technology would increase students' self-efficacy. If we look at this slide here, we can see that the baseline survey that was given, the mean score was just a little above 52. The second survey that was given actually dropped after the first no technology period, and at the end of the research, the third survey was given, and the scores jumped up all the way up to about 59 points. So the paired sample t-test for the second and final survey showed a significant statistical difference between the two. The final survey scores were 7 points higher than the second survey. So how does this tie into the past research? Lothar found that students in the classroom that use skill-based projects were more engaged with their learning. It was also shown that students showed a higher attentiveness to the projects because of the students met the standards of the 21st century skills. And Bandura tells us that when activities are created which allow students success, the students will develop an increased sense of self-efficacy, along with an increased interest in those new skills. So it was hypothesized, again, that the students became more comfortable with the devices and the subject matter they would show an increase in their perceived self-efficacy. And in fact, they did. So what are the implications of this? I believe that this impacts three distinct groups. It impacts students who need to understand that technology, like one-to-one devices, will always be a part of their lives. Challenges such as collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking will be a part of their daily lives, whether they are working, excuse me, or whether they are going to school. Teachers need to remember that ultimately their job is to prepare students for their future. To do this, teachers need to implement the mandated 21st century skills into their curriculum. And finally, parents need to understand that education is dynamic. Students need to be able to problem solve, collaborate, and communicate in order to be successful. And parents need to support their students and their teachers in their attempts to make this happen. What are some of the limitations of this? Well, this study was conducted on 12 students, which represented only about 3.6% of the high school population. And according to Faber and Ferencka, small sample sizes can weaken the internal-external validity of a research project. It was also a very unbalanced male-to-female ratio, with the males outnumbering the females. And it's been shown that when the number of female students increases in a classroom, so does the male academic performance. So with only 3 females in there, we may have seen a drop in the male performances. And that may have influenced the first 2 surveys that were given, thus skewing the results of the research. I also had a very senior-heavy class, which may have influenced the outcome of the study. It's been stated that as students age, so did their self-efficacy when related to schoolwork. And since I had 8 seniors taking this class in their final semester of school, we may have seen that affecting the outcome of the final survey. So, what are some ways that we can fix this? We could make geography a required course. By making it required, a greater population of potential subjects becomes available for the research, and we have a more balanced male to female student population. And if we make it prior to their senior year, we won't have that influence of the final semester coming into play. If we increase the study to a year long, we get a deeper understanding of the dynamics of one-to-one devices and their effects on students' self-efficacy. So those are 3 things I think we could do to improve the study. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them on the comments section below. And if you have any questions about the references, I'm going to show you those references pages right now. Again, thank you for watching.